Okay, good evening, everyone. My name's Paul,
Good evening. This is Bev.
and we have a
Good,
special guest today. We're gonna call her Coach D.
good evening, everybody. Coach D here, your brain coach.
Yeah, all right.
Welcome.
So a couple things before we have Coach D, Dominika take us through her little presentation. If you need to download the manual after her presentation, which will be about 25 minutes, you can ask questions of her. Just post them in the comments and we'll pass it on to her. If you want to download the workbook that we'll go over after her presentation, go to justtouch.com/workbook. And those will be the second half. We'll teach you some BioTouch points to do. So we are excited about this presentation, aren't we, Bab?
We are. We're
Yeah.
so happy that you're here.
I
So,
am super excited and honored to be talking to you guys and sharing what I know that hopefully, it will be something that you can benefit from.
then take it away. You're on.
On.
Okay, well, fantastic. Hello, everybody who's watching now, and maybe will be watching later. I cannot see you, but I can feel you. I can feel your energy. I'm a very much an energy person. So, yes, I'm normally this excited and this happy. It's not just for the means of presentation, because I try to encode happiness in everybody's DNA, including my own. And I am also a brain coach and a neuroencoder. It's a different form of life coaching that includes science, medicine, holistic approach, and everything else that makes you you. I have a question now for everybody who's listening. What is the most important organ in your body? I bet some of you said your heart, right? Because if your heart doesn't beat, then basically you pass away. Well, that is almost true. That is almost true. Actually, if you read a book called Heart Math, these are people who received almost a Nobel Prize. You will find that there's a second brain in your heart, but that's another time. So the answer is your brain. And I want to ask you now another question. What do you do every day to stay healthy? Do you exercise? Probably. Do you eat right? Probably. What do you do then to have a healthy gut? Well, you probably look at probiotics, right? And you probably exercise as well. And what do you do to have healthy emotions? Right? You practice meditation, you breathe, you talk about it, you learn how to manage those emotions. And we have been told this for years and years and years to come that we should take care of this. So, what do you do to take care of your most important organ on a daily basis? What do you do to take care of your brain? Because guess what? If you lose all the memories stored out here, all the emotions stored out here, all the reference points stored, who are you? Are you still you? You're not. We are only as strong as our references and strong as our experiences. Now, interesting thing is that if you lose your memories, you will have feelings that are stored in a little bit different areas, and you will feel comfortable or scared. That's all you will feel. But let me tell you, your brain can decide of a make and break your life. This is what decides what you're eating. This is what you decide, who decides, what decides, how you're reacting to things, what triggers you, how your emotions and what chemicals are produced in your body. Are you helping yourself or hurting yourself? So there are things we can do daily. I don't know if you guys know, but science showed that dementia, Alzheimer can be stopped. Right now, exercises with your brain, if you catch it early enough, are good to the point where it can reverse memory loss. It can reverse. You can die cognitively aware, not forgetting the names of your children, your dog, your ex-husband. You can be a functioning part of the society if you take care of your brain. So now, just to show you, I want to show you the first slide of your brain when you're using marijuana, cocaine, heroin. Look how beautiful it is, isn't it? It is so nice, right? You have two brains, a healthy brain and a brain that is on drugs. To make you feel better, these are not holes. It's not that your brain has holes. SPECT scan measures the blood flow to your brain. So what happens is if you're using drugs, that includes nicotine and some other things, it constricts your blood vessels. And then the nutrients are not getting there. The oxygen is not getting there. And they kind of collapse and start functioning. The good thing about your brain, it is that it is regenerative. Now, if we go to slide 10, there are a lot of different facts on there. And they're just to show you how complex that organ is. Now, your brain is actually plastic until you die. You can rewire it, reform it, have it react differently, and produce different behaviors. Yes, your brain produces behaviors, not your heart, your brain, because it's an automatic reaction. It's a habit. And those habits are formed by our brain to make our life easier. Because if every time you would have to analyze how to make coffee in the morning, you would really never drink that coffee, because if you would have to relearn that every time, it would just take forever. And very often we're on automatic autopilot. Unfortunately, this is what kills our brain. Anytime you go on automatic autopilot for too long, you do not form new neural connections. Now, it is important to know that your brain processes all those information, yet you actually are cognitive, or about 168 thoughts. That's what you actually can process. But there are billions of them going through your head. Now, if you there is a also slide, stroke versus healthy brain. I believe it's slide 16. Take a look what happens. Stroke. Yes. So that one is quite important because this ties in very nicely to biotouch. So anytime we touch something, our nervous system is waking up. Now, don't get me wrong, biotouch is complementary to a lot of things. And it is complementary to brain coaching, brain health, life coaching through brain coaching. Because when you go through a stroke, those vessels constrict and do not allow your brain to get the nutrients, which is super, super important. Because when we were talking before we were offline, is that when your body is not healthy, if you don't have enough ferritin, D3, magnesium, potassium in your body, me as a coach to recreate your brain can work with you all I want. But if you don't have those, my building blocks are hay. So anything comes your way, it's just going to blow it away. Gosh, that is so rhymey. I was not expecting this to be so rhymey. I need you, when you're working with me and anybody else, to give your body the bricks so it can build a strong foundation, so you can actually improve your cognitive awareness, your neuro systems, your brain, and everything that comes with it. Now,
we do have a question while you're talking about that particular
awesome.
thing. Somebody's concerned how all this is going to play to the seasonal affective disorder.
Right. So seasonal affective disorder, one of the things that happens is the lack of sunshine, right? And we do realize that sun on its own helps us to produce vitamin D3. Now, I'm a big advocate of having not the norm, and that's from Dr. Amen, not the norm of D3, but the optimum of D3. So the norms of D3 are between 30 and 100. And if you have 40, they go, oh, you're good. No, you're not good. That's not optimum. Forgetting things is normal, but it's not optimum. So what do we want? Optimum or normal? I want optimum. So one of the things I would highly suggest with your brain is actually exposing yourself to the sun. It has been proven that the sun works best on your skin within an hour after you wake up. So if you can go outside into the sun, have the sun touch your skin, as much of your skin as possible. Do not run around, inappropriately, but open your skin up as much as you can so the sun can get in for about half an hour. That's the most effective type of sun therapy. Now, of course, there are lights. There are other things that you can do for your brain. We as humans need light. Notice that when people get depressed, what do? They shut off the curtains. They sit in dark corners. They sit in front of unhealthy, like we're doing right now, computers. And they do not have the intake. Vitamin D3 is crucial in producing happiness hormones like oxytocin, dopamine. And yes, there's a new study saying that this is not all that plays into depression. That's absolutely true. But it's one of the crucial things that does help getting out of depression if those things are in the optimum, not the norm. Another thing, on slide 17, you guys have a hypobaric chamber. So that's another thing actually for the seasonal affective disorder, which helps your body automatically open blood vessels and carry the blood into the brain so your brain gets enough nutrients. Another thing, if you guys, that's a study that I just posted there. And another one you guys want to see is probably number 19, which was a big shocker to me. I had no idea. So if you guys are not drinking water right now, please do. Yeah, and it is important because your learning ability grows by 20% if you're drinking. First thing that goes when you're dehydrated is your sanity. If you take a look at studies that show people have something called fata morgana on the desert, and they see things that they don't exist, those are hallucinations due to dehydration. You got to drink to keep your nervous system healthy, your brain healthy. And it doesn't have to be that you have to drink 2 liters of water or 5 pints, whatever the measurement you guys are using. But drinking small sips of water, your brain is made 80% out of water. So if it dehydrates, it shrinks. If it shrinks, it cannot process the information. If it cannot process the information, it fills in. So now, these are just very basic information because I have only 25 minutes and I have so many things to tell you guys, and I can't tell you everything that I want to tell you. So now I want to skip into number 21, another thing super important for brain coaching and for Bible touch. So your receptors in your body, in your brain, are very, very important. The study that you see, I don't remember the numbers, but you see the numbers. Now, this study was done on over 2,000 soldiers, and you can find it on PubMed. They would sleep 7 hours, 6 hours, 5 hours, 4 hours. And what they did, they measured accuracy. They measured accuracy in shooting and decision making. Do you see the drop between 7 and 4? The accuracy is gone. Now, this is your decision and aiming process. This is the same part of your brain that deals with decision making. Would you like to make decisions about your life on 4 hours of sleep, if that's the accuracy of it? Sleep. What happens is also we become agitated and our body goes into a state of alert. Alertness creates that the touch becomes much more, you can feel the touch much more, or it disappears depending on your body. Both versions are okay, but it will not have the same healing effect if you're not sleeping. You need to have proper sleep. What happens during your sleep, your brain cleans out all those billions of information that believes are unimportant and leaves only those that are suitable for you and will be helpful for you. So this is the time where from short-term memory, everything goes to long-term memory. And we're building neural pathways. Now, I think that now is the time that I could explain to you guys what in the world and why brain coaching / life coaching is very different than regular coaching. As you have noticed, I'm using a lot of science-based information. That information in life coaching and brain coaching is used as a holistic approach. You cannot take away the mind, the emotions, the feelings from the body. We're a whole. That's why a lot of brain coaches work with holistic approaches and with holistic doctors. Dr. Amen, who was my trainer, he truly believes first trying everything that's natural and embraces also the modern medicine. One of the great studies that really is convincing to me is the study I told Beverly about, which was the study for people for depression. What happened was they took people on Prozac and they had people who were placebo, Prozac, and people who were prescribed natural medicine. And the natural medicine was going to a forest, being present in the forest, not necessarily grounding, and doing the breathing exercise 4-6-8, which is take it in on 4, hold it for 6, let it out on 8, and then acknowledging the greenery, the forest, and whatever was around you. After half a year, the results of people on Prozac and going to the forest were the same when it comes to the level of depression. So they took it a little bit further. People who are on placebo did not see any changes. And then people they continued with the study. And after a year, 80% of people that were doing the breathing exercises in the forest 5 days a week, daily, 5 days a week, almost daily, 80% of them reported that they do not feel depressed anymore. Now, 20% still had it and needed to be put on medication to support that, taking blood tests. There's so many ways our brain and our body functions, and it has to be synergy. To that effect, one of the methods I use is neuroencoding, and Beverly goes, what is neuroencoding? Well, it is the use of knowledge about human neural pathways, science, language, emotions, and chemicals that we produce while we use words. So I want to ask you, when you're really, really upset, right? You can say, I'm angry, I'm pissed off, I'm furious. Then you can go into cursing, or you can say, I'm peeved. Now, notice if you say those words out loud, your reaction will be different. You can change your chemical body reaction to the words you use. In your brain, there have been encoded certain behaviors and words and patterns encoded by the outside world into your brain that you use on a daily basis without even realizing it. So imagine you're giving somebody a high five. Boom. There's no way you're not going to smile because you're coded to smile every time you do this. That's why this simple thing actually changes your mood, because when you're feeling down or depressed or anxious, your body changes its posture. Changing the body postures influences how your body reacts. All of that put together is part of neuroencoding. So let's say we say, everybody hates me. Now, the moment you say everybody, you take the whole world, you put it together and see you against them. I guarantee it's almost impossible to win, and it's very easy to fall into depression. But if you say Karen hates me, it's just one Karen. Or John hates me, it's just one John. It's very much easier to function when we narrow things down. Now, our brain is encoded to generalize, and we do it automatically. And until we become aware, we're unable to change that pattern. My job working with you or anybody else is to find the pattern, break the pattern, and what happens in your brain, you create a scotoma. A scotoma is an empty place. This is the place we insert a new, better pattern. And there's nothing wrong with you. Nobody is broken. And coaching is, brain coach is not about being broken. But it is also the knowledge that there are 16 brain types. So before I coach you, I check your brain type with a test prepared by Dr. Amen. And there are natural supplements you can take to enhance functioning of your brain. Some brains are more prone to being depressed. Some brains have, for example, basal ganglia, which is not working properly. And this is the moment when you get to shift your thoughts so you don't get stuck, right? People who get stuck, they need support with microelements, other ones like GABA and a few other ones that you could use. So there are so many things we can do naturally to enhance your performance or wherever area you would like to work on. Because if it's bothering you, that means it's time to change. It's as simple as that. Our reactions are implanted in our brain. So what we do, we create certain behaviors. We use also, I use at least, your eye movement, your thinking patterns, which I see when you use them. And wherever you look, I know if you're creating reality or you're actually recalling the information. We can reassign emotional value to events in the past. As we know, we cannot change the past. But with working with your brain and neuron coding, we can reassign the value. So instead of going, that was the worst day of my life, you can go, okay, well, it was a bad day and I've learned something. And I am a walking example, a person who is epileptic, was raped, was beaten, had a child at 16 months old die, and I'm truly a happy human. I chose happiness because there's a difference between pain and suffering. Pain is natural. We have to go through it. It's necessary as a whole range of emotions, right? But suffering is a choice. You stay in that pain and you choose to stay there. Now, anything that can zap you out of it, if it's biotouch, if it's neuron coding, if it's brain health, if it's going to a psychologist or a therapist, whatever works for you. When I was going through it, I tried everything. And for me, coaching works the best because it's not focused on taking apart my past. It's focusing on what is it now? How can I change that pattern and reinforce that behavior? Remember the happiness that when we're adults, we go, oh, don't be so excited. Like, why not? When a kid walks, right, takes its first steps and it's like, and it falls and parents go, oh my God, how could you fall? I mean, you took those first steps and you fell? Of course not. We'll go, yay, you took those first steps. And the brain goes, that feels good. Let me try it again. We work the same way as adults, but for some reason, we take away the privilege of celebration. So one thing that is crucial for your brain is reinforcing the smallest, the tiniest things that work out. Somebody smiled at you, celebrate. You wrote, I don't know, 5 sentences instead of 2 today, celebrate. Celebrate the smallest things. Why? Because you teach your neurons to react and fire off positive chemicals into your body. Do you know that when you go out and you're all stressed out about somebody that you never met and will never meet probably again, you're releasing so much cortisol. Women cry, which is great because that's how we get rid of cortisol in our body. Men are not told not to cry, which you guys should. You absolutely should. Crying gets rid of the extra cortisol in your body. If you take an eye drop, you'll find cortisol in there. So you go there and you're hurting yourself because that person went on about their day. BioTouch is also able to snap you out of those. If you have a headache, right? It's usually stress depending where it is. Presence of humans. We are humans that love presence. We are built to be touched. Do you know that a newborn without a touch will die and the brain will not develop? This is all interconnected. We cannot dismiss elements. We cannot also dismiss medicine and the findings that we have because sometimes that is not enough. But that's for another story. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Whew, that was a lot to take in. So,
I was trying to.
no, that was good. That we love taking in a lot. It I love overloading the brain. But had a question with this. So the seasonal affective disorder,
Yes.
does this in a lot of times have you seen, does it trigger a lot of these underlying emotional
Yes,
brain things that are
it
that
does, and
right?
it's prehistoric brain working. And the number of suicides in this period of time is the highest. And for example, me as an epileptic, I found that most of my seizures were right about now in my life.
Interesting. Interesting.
um, there's a different the energy flows differently, the light, the feeling of ending, of the happiness that we associate with joy, which is again taught behavior. That's not true that happiness ends,
All right.
but we're waiting for the summer our whole life, or for the spring, and we're waiting and waiting, and it comes and then it ends. And what do we have in our human sayings, right? We say, well, everything that's good must come to an end. No, it doesn't. It just changes the shape, right?
Right.
It's a different time, but we have to reframe that in our brain. So yes, it absolutely does have effect on your brain, and you have different food available with different amount of nutrients. That also affects your brain. You don't have enough light. That also affects your brain. So all of that is interconnected. We cannot separate ourselves from it.
Right. That's a
Yeah.
good one.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. So I, I'm speechless. It's like, it's so nice to see that there's a way to help us sit with our brain. I mean, what I liked about your presentation is it's not a judgment. I mean, even you still go through this stuff. It's an accepting of seeing who we are, and then having someone like yourself or BioTouch just sort of give us a little light, a little direction on possible ways to take your own power back. And
That is absolutely true. Do we have time for a small exercise?
actually, we don't.
Oh,
But
really,
you know,
I
we-
wanted to show you guys how to trick your brain, and it's a phenomenal exercise, but I understand.
yeah, right. I'll tell you, you're somebody we definitely need to have just a whole show with you.
I was just gonna say, I'd like to just invite you to be on our show sometime.
Right, we'll have to hook up with you again because
You
I
will.
think there's a lot more of your brain we could pick.
Right.
Absolutely, it will be my honor.
Wow.
We will do that.
Dominika, we appreciate your help. All of you who want to get hold of her, she's on Facebook. You can just look up Your Coach D, and it'll take you right to her beautiful website. And you can just continually watch her beautiful face, and that alone will help your brain relax.
The
Ah,
light.
well, I feel honored. Thank you so much. You just stroked my female ego.
All right, dear. Thank you so much, and we'll
Thank
be in
you.
contact with you again for sure.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. Enjoy, you guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, once again,
Once again,
total overload. God.
but she mentioned a few basic elements that is threading its way through conversations. Vitamin D3. How many people are starting to understand that? Talking about light,
Right.
and drinking fluids.
Right.
I mean, I never even connected sipping water to give my brain more, function. But wow, that was a
Right.
cool thought.
So during those dark times where the seasonal affective disorder has that, that's a definition of a problem.
Right.
There are simple things to do, and we want to show everybody one of those other simple things to do is BioTouch. And we'll just go right into our workbook. Again, if you don't have the workbook, pull it up, justtouch.com/workbook. And we're just going to pass this over to Bev, and she's going to take us through this little workbook.
Yeah, great. Well, thanks for everybody for showing up tonight, and those who will hopefully be listening to it on podcast or our our YouTube channel, on our website, whatever. So we do some basic things in the beginning because hopefully we're always getting new people to tune in, and they do not know what is BioTouch. And so we go through this. If you turn to this page 6, you'll see at the top, what is BioTouch? And we just want to quickly go through and give you some basic information. So BioTouch is a light touch technique that uses the first 2 fingers of each hand, and you lightly touch the skin like a butterfly. The definition of BioTouch is one person touching another person lightly on the skin, and that is it. It's a whole technique, a system of different sets of points, we call it, as you're going to find out when we start teaching you the basic sets that we feel are going to be able to address SAD. So let's go to this first bullet here. BioTouch is easy to learn. You know, we've always said that, and it must be true because we've had many children learn BioTouch and effectively practice it with their friends or with their family. This is one of our main purposes, is to get this amazing technique into the hands of people, because we all are capable of learning BioTouch and then practicing it with each other. The next bullet, it's a complement to any healthcare program. It is totally integrative. Whatever you're doing, whether it's another modality, whether you're under a doctor's care, whether you're doing a special diet, or you're taking pharmaceuticals, whatever that may be, BioTouch is going to enhance that healing process for you. Totally complementary and totally holistic is what Dominika was talking about. This is a holistic program as well. The next bullet, BioTouch has no levels of ability. That's what is magical about BioTouch. Everyone is effective the first time. Wow, but it's true. The minute that you learn BioTouch, and you then, because it's already there within you to be able to practice BioTouch, to learn it and to use it in your life. The moment that you learn whatever set, you can turn around and practice BioTouch with another human being, and that very first time you are going to be effective for that body. I don't know of anything else that can make that claim. And we're not even claiming it. We're just saying this is what BioTouch is. It is for all of us. And so if that's true, then all of us have to have it accessible and easy to learn. Because I will tell you, most people on the planet do not know anatomy. They do not know how to diagnose. This is for the layman. BioTouch is here for all of us. The last bullet, it requires no special preparation, no belief or state of mind. You can walk up to another person and just not having a very good day yourself and do BioTouch, and you're going to be just as effective for them. You don't have to prepare a space. You don't have to protect yourself from their negative whatever. This is about love. This is about acceptance in the moment of every single person that we come into face-to-face with. It's honoring each other for all that we are and all that we're not. That's what BioTouch is here to do. In that moment, you get to be present and care for another human being. I think that is amazing. That is magical. And that's what BioTouch is. So let's do a real quick overview of how to prepare yourself to do BioTouch, which takes no preparation at all. You wash your hands. Everybody can do that. You stand in front of that beautiful person that you really care about, and you are going to perform the greeting, which you're going to learn next, using the first 2 fingers of your hands and lightly touch on the skin, holding 6 to 8 seconds for every point that you touch. That's it. You can practice it anywhere, on anyone, at any time. Paul, do you have anything to add to that? Okay. So these terms that we use here, this is really something that we learn when we teach the technique in a practitioner training. So this is just a language of biotouch that helps the recipient to perform the sets of points in certain ways, holding the fingers in certain ways. But we always do like to go over the first two bullets here. The associate is the person who performs the procedures. And this term is used as a matter of convenience. However, it is described in the dictionary as the role of one who is inspired to pursue this work as one often in the company with another, implying intimacy or equality, and one having an interest in common with another. Well, that's what we were talking about. The associate in biotouch is one who is in an equalizing relationship of healing with another person. And that interest in common is love, is exchanging together. The recipient is the one who receives, but we can tell you, it doesn't matter if you're a recipient or the associate. In a true relationship that biotouch brings us into, both are going to give and receive. So without further ado, let's begin to teach you the simple sets of points that you can use to help somebody with SAD. The first thing you always want to do after you wash your hands is to give what we call the greeting. This begins before you touch any other part of the body. Always do this greeting. It sets up this relationship between the two people practicing biotouch. It harmonizes and brings us into a place of equality. It is the key that opens that body up to begin to receive biotouch. This is the only set that you're going to see that you're going to use one hand only, the dominant hand. So Paul is going to be showing the videos of each of these sets of points so you can actually see how these sets of points are practiced with two
And
people.
so for all of you out there, if you've downloaded the workbook or you get our workbook or our whole ebook training manual, you'll notice each set of points has a drawing, as you see here, for the greeting. At the bottom of that page is a synopsis of where those points are, and there's a little purple link that says click here to watch the video. That will take you to the video that we're going to show so that you can always go back and see somebody doing it, and in there are the words to the same way that you'll see on the second page, which are a description of where those points are. And as Bev said, we use very common kind of languages, bumps and notches and holes in your skin. So that's a very easy way to be able to learn biotouch even after this little workshop here. So we'll show you the video on the greeting.
The greeting is always performed at the beginning of each session. It's the only set that uses one hand and the only set that indicates which hand to use. The greeting is performed with the dominant hand. If you are right-handed, use your right hand. If you are left-handed, use your left hand. The greeting is made by touching at point 1, which is in the fleshy area just below the bottom of the breastbone or sternum. Hold this point for 6 to 8 seconds. Then, with the same two fingers, touch point 2 on the back. To find point 2, look for the big bone at the base of the neck. From here, move 1 to 1.5 inches to the left. This is point 2. Hold this point for 6 to 8 seconds. More than one associate may work with a recipient provided that all of the associates perform the greeting. If the associate or the recipient leaves the session, or if someone who hasn't done the greeting touches either the recipient or the associate, the greeting must be reestablished. Then the session may proceed from where it was interrupted.
Okay. I can't hear the video, so. Okay, so we're going to move to the first sets of points that we're going to start addressing the body. And if you were listening to Dominika, the head that holds the brain is what we want to do. This is the first set of points that if you do nothing but this headset, I think you're going to be going in the right direction in relationship to SAD, because it affects any condition that's related to the brain. So let's go to the video and watch somebody doing the headset.
The headset can be used to address conditions related to the brain. There are 4 steps in this set. In step 1, use through fire to touch points A and A. Point A on the back of the head is in the center of the neck at the base of the skull. Point A on the front of the head is at the center of the forehead, where the forehead begins to curve to the crown. Step 2 is performed in crossfire with the fingers of each hand touching on opposite sides of the head. Hold at X, which is in the indentation beside the neck muscle at the base of the skull. It is the same as point 1 of the back set. On the opposite side of the head, touch points 1 through 5. Points 1, 2, and 3 are on the ridge line formed where the skull curves up toward the crown. Point 1 is above the outside corner of the eye on the ridge. Point 2 is above the front of the ear on the ridge. Point 3 is above the back of the ear on the ridge. To locate point 4, move down the head toward the base of the skull to a horizontal indentation approximately 1/3 of the way down from the top of the ear and 1 to 1.5 inches behind the back edge of the ear. Point 5 is opposite hold point X at the base of the skull. Point 5 now becomes the new hold point as points 1 through 5 are touched on the opposite side of the head. In crossfire, touch point 1 above the outside corner of the eye on the ridge. Point 2 above the front of the ear on the ridge. Point 3 is above the back of the ear on the ridge. Point 4 is a horizontal indentation approximately 1/3 of the way down from the top of the ear and 1 to 1.5 inches behind the back edge of the ear. And point 5 is opposite hold point X at the base of the skull. Step 3 is performed in matching fire, touching points 1 and 1, 2 and 2, 3 and 3, 4 and 4, 5 and 5. Finally, in step 4, place the open palms of both hands on the head, covering points 1 through 3. Be careful, don't let your hands touch each other.
Okay. So the next set that we recommend is called the metabolism set. And this is really very effective for so many things. But basically what the metabolism set does is to help the body to assimilate that what it knows it needs, and then to eliminate what it doesn't need. So this is in that all that depression and the absence of light and whatever else is going on, to encourage the SAD. Metabolism is going to be a very good set to practice. So let's watch the video.
The metabolism set can be used to help the body assimilate what it needs and eliminate what it doesn't need. The metabolism set has 2 steps. Step 1 involves touching points in matching fire along the large muscles on the front of the neck. Points 1 and 1 are located above the collarbone in the soft indentations on both sides of the notch at the top of the breastbone. Points 2 and 2 are halfway up the neck on the front of the large muscles. Points 3 and 3 are at the top of the neck on the front of the large muscles. The second step involves holding a point on the front of the body and touching points next to the spine on the back. Hold point X on the front of the body is on a line directly between where the nipples would be on a youth and is 1 to 2 inches to the left of the breastbone. Another way to find X is 1/3 of the way up the breastbone from greeting point 1 and 1 to 2 inches to the left of the breastbone. The points on the back are located next to the spine, forming a rectangle around the breakover point. The breakover point is where the bottom of the rib cage joins the spine and can be found by imagining a line directly through the body from greeting point 1. To perform step 2, find hold point X on the front of the body and touch points 1 through 4 on the back. Point 1 is approximately 1 to 2 inches up from the breakover point on the left spine muscle. Point 2 is directly across from point 1 on the right spine muscle. Point 3 is 2 to 3 inches below the breakover point on the right spine muscle. Point 4 is used to address blood sugar problems and is added to the other metabolism points when needed. It is located across from point 3 on the left spine muscle.
Okay, and the last set that we recommend is the stress and anxiety set, linked to depression and the lack of light, whatever's going on with that SAD. This is a very simple and effective set to do for someone. So let's watch the video of the stress set.
The stress set may be used to address any manifestation of physical, emotional, or mental stress, as well as anxiety and shingles. Hold at X, which is in the fleshy area just below the bottom of the breastbone. It is the same as greeting point 1. Then with the other hand touch points 1 and 2, which are the same points as in the heart set. These points are found by imagining a line running from the notch at the top of the breastbone to a place on the left breast where the nipple would be on a youth. Divide this imaginary line into thirds. Point 1 is at the top of the first third. Point 2 is at the top of the second third. These points may be touched repeatedly, and remember to touch each point for at least 6 to 8 seconds.
And there you have it.
There you have it. And everyone who's on this with us, by learning the greeting and those 3 sets, you can immediately begin to help somebody with depression, SAD,
Yes.
all of that immediately.
So we can't tell you enough. It's interesting too. Just wanted to bring up some of those points. Say this is the same point as this set or that set. If you need the whole manual, it's nice that we still tell you where the point is, but the whole manual has other sets of points too. But we use these little workshops just to give you a few sets of points to address a particular condition. And then, find whatever other professional, like somebody like Coach D or a naturopath or whatever it takes to get better. But just add BioTouch to your system. I mean, it doesn't take but a few minutes, even if all you did was the greeting and just ANA of the headset, especially during those dark times of the year, which we're moving into.
Well, isn't this timely?
Yeah. So this is a little thing to have in your bag of tricks. And we're here to help you anytime you need it. Office at justtouch.com or justtouch.com on the web. And we'll get back to you as quick as we can, which is usually within 24 hours. And we can Zoom with you if you have a personal issue. Easy to do. So there's no distance where we can't reach you. We can reach you everywhere. The world is our stage.
Uh-oh.
Look out.
Yeah.
So our next one is going to be on food allergies, it looks like. And that'll be next month. Oh, no, that'll be in, let's see. No, that's October. Fourth Thursday of October. Otherwise, tune in to Mondays with Bev and Paul. We go over a little bit more of all these things, and hopefully we'll get Coach D back so she can give us some of her little exercises to do.
I think that's a good idea. Yeah.
So, Bev, thank you for leading us through the learning of BioTouch.
Well, Paul, thanks for being our techie and host with the most.
Host with the most.